So that's the first thing, is a righteous person in the Old Testament could lose his righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is he could lose the Spirit. The Spirit would come and go. Let's look at a couple of these. Let's start with Judges, and maybe we want to get two of these at a time in our hands. So let's get Judges and 1 Samuel. Judges 16:20. And she said, and this is, the context is Samson.
Mm-hmm.
And Samson had the Spirit of the Lord upon him. In fact, every time you see Samson do some great
Spirit of the Lord came upon him.
It's always that the Spirit of the Lord came upon him first. For all we know, Samson could have been some weakly-looking guy with no muscles whatsoever. It wasn't in his physical strength that he found these great feats of strength. It was the Spirit of the Lord coming upon him, which is really interesting. It's not how we usually think of Samson. All right, so this is Samson and Delilah. And we're here in verse 20, it says, and she said, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not, that means he knew not, that the Lord had departed from him.
Mm-hmm.
So here we see that Samson had the Spirit of God, and the Spirit of God had left Samson. This is different than a New Testament Christian. I will never leave thee nor forsake me. You are sealed with the Spirit. The Spirit keeps us until the day of our redemption, so on. So those verses, verse after verse after verse. Next one, 1 Samuel 18, verse 12. And now this is King Saul, and it says, Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him, with David, and was departed from Saul. So here we see Saul had the Lord was with Saul, and now the Lord had departed from Saul. Go to Psalm 51. Psalm 51, and this is an interesting one because this is David talking. Now, what do you know about David that's different than other Old Testament saints?
Well, he had sure mercies.
That's right.
That which we've talked about in another video, and that things that had been taken away from other people for whatever reason, he was grandfathered in, or whatever the word you want to use there, that he got to keep it.
Right. It was promised by God that it wouldn't be taken away from him. And here's what David says, verses 10 and 11. These are familiar verses to us. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. So here's a person that the Holy Spirit couldn't be taken away from him. And he, being in the Old Testament, being part of the law system, was still afraid that the Holy Spirit would be taken away from him because he understood this Old Testament doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was resting more in the rule, the norm, than he was in the exception. It's tough to think of yourself as the exception when the norm is the Holy Spirit being taken.
But that's what he was.
But that's what he was.
So he understood that there was something that could be taken away because he'd seen it.
Right. He
firsthand.
Saul. That's right.
Firsthand.
He not only saw King Saul, he not only saw the Holy Spirit being taken away from King Saul, he actually saw an evil spirit being given to King Saul by God, which is interesting. You don't want to be messing around with that stuff.